Blowjob Place. Time to give blowjobs. I like that we have urgent breaking news music for this intro about the blowjob place.
Urgent, read all about it. Are you getting enough blowjobs on the daily?
Hard news at 11. Live from the Liar's Lair. This is the Disinformed podcast. We intend to make liars of each other. I'm Shane.
I'm a panic attack. I'm John.
And I'm an attention deficit man. I'm Michael.
Technically, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm Kenton Eldorado.
I'm Timothy Lone Cactus.
And I'm Robert Greer.
Thank you all for joining us. This is going to be an exceedingly entertaining episode, I am sure, because we are going to be discussing a man who happens to be Caucasian and still sports an afro. No, it's not Art Garfunkel. It is Richard Teagle Simmons. And we are so excited to discuss this week. But
break it down more. Who is this Simmons? What does he do?
Oh, you're
Who's
gonna get so much of the Richard Teagle Simmons. You're barely gonna be able to compose yourself.
Did you say
This
Richard
music.
Teagle?
It's what you
Teagle
do.
exercises?
Teagle.
Did you know that you can do not only vaginal Kegels, but you can do anal Kegels?
I found out
Really?
last night.
The more you know.
Never taken a painful shit? That's a Kegel, man. Come on, step it up.
I mean, the last 6 years of being in this band with you has been a painful shit. So.
I don't have painful shits anymore because I use a squatty potty.
Oh.
Still going strong with the squatty potty.
And your knees are in your chest.
Mostly.
Yes.
Mostly.
You mostly come
This
at night.
music is giving me agita. I feel like I'm being chased through a forest.
Yes, there's a giant hatchet-wielding madman who's just hounding us through the
You know what it
flatlands.
is? It's like a cheap Walmart version of like when you're playing a video game and an enemy is aggroed onto you and you have to
This is Dead
engage
by
or-
Daylight right now, yes.
Yeah, where you're like, oh fuck.
And you're trying to hide, but because of
trying
the
to hide.
pathing or something, it's like you watch it,
Or like-
it's like walking into a counter and it's
Yeah.
not losing its trail.
Or like I'm playing Zelda Breath of the Wild right now. Anytime the Guardians notice you, this agita-inducing music.
Actually,
plays.
this is what happens when the velociraptors start to jiggle the handle.
Oh, we were talking about Jeff Goldblum before we started rolling.
We got on the Jurassic Park boner.
Okay.
And,
So we talked about our favorite podcasts that we were listening to. I'm a moron and I don't spend my money wisely. I started subscribing to YouTube Premium.
Ew.
I know. I did it out of desperation before I got on a plane from Chicago back here on my last trip. Because I wanted to get some offline viewing on some videos.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
I used the trial to facilitate that, and then I ended up really liking YouTube Premium. Anyway, since I'm paying fucking money for it, I want to get my money's worth out of it, so I've been trying to watch more YouTube and like find content creators that I enjoy. So I don't know if any of you have content creators that you enjoy on YouTube on the daily. I think we may have touched on it briefly. But a show that I like is a very popular one, and it's Hot Ones, or Hot Wings.
Oh, yes, I know that one. Mm-hmm.
So essentially, they're almost 10 seasons deep, and they get celebrity guests to come in, and they eat through 10 wings.
And interview them as they
while
do it,
having
yes.
a legit interview. And I think that's my favorite part about it, is that they're having authentic interviews while putting these people through pain. Like, you have to have a shtick to get it. But I mean, they did Ramsey, which was hilarious.
Cursing all throughout.
I discovered that I have a very intense crush on Aubrey Plaza, watching hers. But also tying it back in, Jeff Goldblum did an episode, and I never want to talk to him ever. Like, if I ran into him, it was almost unwatchable.
Well, I mean, also, to dovetail slightly, but to pull it back into our universe, WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin did a very entertaining one.
I haven't watched it, but I have seen it's populated on like the related or
it's fun.
Watch
It's worth watching.
He's a craft beer drinker, isn't he?
He's a craft beer creator as well. He's got the Broken Skull IPA for all of you.
Yeah,
who
I'm
want
not
the
drinking a beer right now.
No, you never are.
You were trying so hard to make a noise.
Wait. That sounded like a dinosaur.
Oh, feel those hops. Like rabbits in a box. All them hops.
Are you rapping?
I am. I'm the whitest rapper you know.
But yeah, do you guys have any
Content
YouTube
creators
channels
for you?
that you really enjoy?
Oh, so I guess it depends on...
Like, what's your daily? Like, hot ones for me, like, Becky, my sister Kristen and I, like, we'll watch it anytime we're hanging out, or if I have only one more thing, like, if I only have time to do 20 minutes of an activity, I'll just throw it on.
Yeah.
You know? Like, just a quick relax.
I really liked, I'm going to pronounce it wrong and Asher's going to correct me, but Afro Senju.
I don't know.
He plays video games. He's the one who I followed playing, he did Dark Souls. He also
When you talk about Sekiro?
Yes, so he did the full playthrough of Sekiro, which is hilarious because he just screams at it the entire time.
Okay, I know
It's
you're
great.
talking about now.
Yes.
All right, cool.
D's Nuts was fun going through Bloodborne, so I enjoyed
D's Nuts is
some of
amazing.
that. But yeah, those are. I watch a lot of. This is funny. I watch ESPN and some of the talkies that they put up.
Why not?
That's, it's a lot of stuff. And then Jim Cornette, because I am one of those old school wrestling cats. So Mr. Jim Cornette is hilarious, and he's also apparently, according to Melissa, he is my spirit animal. Because he's like
So he's
Gordon
an asshole?
Ramsay of... Yes, basically. He's the Gordon Ramsay of wrestling. He just screams at everybody. He's very upset. He's the old man who shakes his fist at the sky.
Get off my lawn.
Uh-huh.
What about you, Mike?
Before I do that, I'm going to turn the fan down. Because I realized I left it on. Ah!
Miss, can you please stop screaming?
Check, please.
See, the best part is that's
Mic
why
check.
I paused it, so I can just immediately
Ha.
cut it out.
Ha, ha, ha,
The
ha.
magic of editing. None of you fuckers will hear any of this.
I'm going to edit
You
you.
should leave that in. I'm gonna vote that stays in, and then they
I'll-
hear it all.
Through the magic of cloning.
Your mother was a
DNA.
pirate hooker.
Anyway, so I guess there's two channels that I've been following pretty nicely. For gaming, there's this British guy named the Spiffing Brit. He does a lot of exploit videos where he plays like...
Like breaking the game?
Yes, yeah. So like
I
Fable...
thought by exploit
or-
you meant he tied girls up and then pees on their faces.
That's just you.
I'm sorry.
There's actually a kind of game, like a YouTuber that I've been following that's been developing a game like that. So actually, I like this one too. So it's called
Hot Ones.
Yandere. I'm butchering it because I can't speak Japanese. Yandere Simulator. So essentially, it's a video game where you play as an obsessive person over their senpai, and you try and win the senpai by killing all the women that are interested in him.
Would you call that weeb shit?
Probably.
I mean, there is also a game that is supposed to simulate urination for a man, right? There was like a wee.
Oh my, what?
There's a legit...
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
there was a thing where you're supposed to like try to urinate like you're standing and urinating and get the pee in the bowl.
Okay, I feel like I'm in a safe space. I'm gonna share something that I discovered randomly on Pornhub a long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
This
Then when
didn't
he was in the
happen
bathroom
yesterday.
5 minutes ago.
Have you guys both played Guitar Hero at some point in your life?
Yes, and I got really
considering-
frustrated because actually playing guitar and playing Guitar Hero are dramatically different things.
What?
Agreed.
I didn't know that.
So, and I'm being 100% honest, I don't know how I stumbled upon this.
Recommended for you.
Maybe? Okay, so we can all agree that porn, like, let's say you're spending time on Pornhub during your naughty time, and finding the right porn, the masturbating is about like 80% finding the video, and
And
20% doing the
And
deed.
20% finding your yeehaw juice.
Yes. Anyway, I found there's a lane of Pornhub videos that is like
Tory
it's
lane,
like Stroke Hero, where they'll put the porn on, they'll put like some EDM music and then a bar at the bottom that shows you the tempo that you should be stroking your dick.
Okay. So it's like JOI with music.
Kind of?
Okay.
Huh.
And I tried it, and it wasn't that good. It's really an anticlimactic climax.
I find anytime I have to masturbate with a tempo, it's like a beat the cock challenge.
And Shane, you play music with me. You know that I don't have rhythm.
You do not.
So a rhythm-based game
Just frustrated you.
frustrated. I wasn't even focused on the beautiful scenery. I was frustrated at the fact that I couldn't get on tempo.
You were
You're just seeing
wilting like
a bunch of
dead
misses and fails as you were missing the beat.
Yeah.
Just popping up on the screen.
Yeah,
there.
except every time that you miss a beat on that game, it just shares what you're doing to your Facebook. So the stakes were really raised.
Oh god! Now you say that, now the metronome on that is it's the meat beat, right?
If you mean the balls slapping the gooch, yes.
Gooch. Now, speaking of balls slapping asses, let's talk about Richard Simmons. Milton Teagle Simmons was born, and that's Teagle, as in Tegan and Sarah.
Smeagol.
Not Kegel. For Michael. Was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, all hail, on July 12, 1948, to Leonard Douglas Simmons Sr. and Shirley Mae Satin. Here's the thing. Some of this is going to be pulled from Wikipedia, so you can just look Richard Simmons up so you can get some context. And also, some of this is from a beautiful slurry of articles that I pulled up. So there will be some hyperlinks here, but I kind of made a little melange of all of this material. Here's to try to keep this a little less bland than a Wikipedia.
See his face.
Do it.
Okay.
Do you not know who Richard Simmons is, firstly, before we start?
I know Richard Simmons, but I was kind of...
Beautiful.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, he's like Pauly Shore to me.
Yes.
You know, like I know Pauly Shore, but I can forget his face almost immediately.
Well, he looks very much like Richard Simmons, funnily enough.
That's probably why it prompted me. Anyway, go ahead.
In any event, his father was raised Methodist and worked as a master of ceremonies and later in thrift stores. I don't know why that contextually needs to be included, but okay. His mother was Russian Jewish and was a traveling fan dancer. And later a store cosmetics saleswoman.
What's a fan dancer?
Someone who dances with fans, John. This is not exactly hard to pin
literal
down.
stuff. Okay.
Yes. I met a fan dancer. Okay, sorry. I was listening to Huey Lewis. This is going to get us all in.
Go ahead.
He became obese during his early childhood and adolescence. He began overeating and becoming overweight as early as the age of 4, and by the age of 5, he knew it was perceived negatively. At the age of 15, he weighed 182 pounds. At 15, he was 182 pounds. He was nearly 200 pounds at 15
How
years
tall
old.
is he?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah,
That's still...
I guess 15 isn't like, you wouldn't be like 62
if we're going BMI, like, we're probably well above being morbidly obese.
Right.
As a young man, he considered being a priest. Again, some of this, the way they speckle facts in this thing is really bizarre, but as a young adult art student, he had appeared among the freak show characters in the Fellini films Satyricon and The Clowns, published in 68 and 70, respectively. And he eventually reached a peak of 268 pounds. He's a very diminutive man, I should say. From what I've seen, he's probably maybe 5'5", 5'4". Very, okay. What's called sprightly.
Okay,
so,
well then the 180 makes even more sense, like a 5'4", 5'5".
And then 268 at
5'4", season,
5'5".
my man. Like,
He's got some bulk. So upon moving to Los Angeles in the 70s, he worked as the maitre d' hotel at Derrick's, which is a restaurant in Beverly Hills. He developed an interest in fitness. Exercise studios of the day favored the already fit customer, so there was little help for those who needed to gain fitness from an otherwise unhealthy state. He established gyms, and his interest in fitness helped him to lose 123 pounds. Simmons later opened his own exercise studio, originally called the Anatomy Asylum, which sounds like the worst horror film ever. That is a real thing.
Okay.
The Anatomy Asylum, where emphasis was placed on healthy eating in proper portions and an enjoyable exercise in a supportive atmosphere. The business originally included a salad bar restaurant called Roughage, the name a pun on the word roughage for dietary fiber. Though it was eventually removed as the focus of the asylum shifted solely to exercise. Later renamed Slimmons, the establishment continued operations in Beverly Hills, and Simmons taught motivational classes and aerobics throughout the week. Slimmons, for facts, closed in November of 2016, which will
we nearly have missed it.
I know. It's going to come into play later on, so just bear that in mind as we move forward. In 2010, Simmons stated that he had kept off his own 100-plus pounds for 42 years.
Because of self-hatred.
Probably. And the hatred of others. Had been helping others lose weight for 35 years, and that in the course of his fitness career, he had helped humanity lose approximately 12 million pounds.
Well, everybody
Simmons,
applause for him and his works for humanity. I don't like that verb.
I also like
helped humanity lose.
Here's the
12
thing.
million.
As being the one chunky kid in the room right now, your derision is noted, you slim fucks. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's really difficult for you to lose fat.
What's fat?
Me, asshole.
No!
So, Simmons then used the web as a method of outreach by running his own membership-based website, and also has official pages on numerous social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, and YouTube, just like we do.
What are our Twitter, Facebook, and stuff? Or do you want to do that later?
Oh, I can do it. So, you can find us on Instagram at Disinformed Podcast, Facebook.com/Disinformed Podcast, at Twitter at Disinformed Pod. Look us up there. We have plenty of fun stuff, including John dressed as Richard Simmons in some booty shorts.
I'll do it for the gram.
See, I was going to say initially
Someone
that
buy
there
me
was
the
like a
costume.
button. It was like an automated response button that will tell us about our information. And it's like a snap, and you're instantly in that mode. But then you threw in that extra bit about him in Richard Simmons shorts. And yeah, I was like, okay, the illusion's been shattered.
Give me a White Claw, too, and I'll do anything. White Claw and grams. Sorry for interrupting you.
No,
just felt like a good little segue in there.
Hey,
we don't have those often.
It's reasonable. I like it. After almost 40 years in the public eye, Simmons, 68, failed to show up to teach a class at Beverly Hills fitness studio Slimmons. That was on February 15th, 2014. He has not been seen since.
What the fuck?
What?
Okay, so I don't know much about this guy, and I didn't even remember that he was the fitness guy. Like, I saw the pictures,
right,
but I didn't piece it together that he was the very eccentric gentleman that he is.
And furthermore, like, the reason we got onto this is that in episode 1, I claimed we were sponsored by Deal-A-Meal and Jazzercise, which were both of his programs.
Got it.
And then that's why we fused this back in, as I joked about it at the time. But,
Full circle.
So now I'm sure he has been seen since because this kind of has been amended, I believe, but technically he went missing for a significant amount of time. And now, Missing Richard Simmons is a limited run podcast dedicated to digging up the truth behind the disappearance. And it has stirred up several serial level,
Cereal being the podcast.
Yes, cereal podcast. And cereal, breakfast cereal. It has stirred up serial-level fascination with his story amongst people who had barely heard of Simmons until recently.
Okay, I just went from semi-interested to I'm all the way here.
This
is why I gave you a little tease. You had to figure out who the guy was.
You guys
first.
just saw light back into my eyes.
Yes. So, context. You don't need to be a board-certified therapist to connect Simmons' emotional volatility and desperate need for connection to an unhappy childhood. Young Milton Teagle Simmons was asthmatic, and for most of high school, he tipped the scales at 268 pounds. I took desperate measures to lose weight and did terrible things to myself, he recalled. I went from diet pills to 30 laxatives a day to throwing up.
That's like too many.
Well, if he was diluting it with water, he would have been fine.
No, it would have been more powerful.
Oh, I forgot. The water remembers.
Yeah.
Is that why it's called water weight? Is that, you the water remembers your fat?
Water's like, hold on there, sport. You ain't going by that easy.
You're not losing any of this, buddy.
Oh, you want to order a medium? Sure.
Are you sure about that?
The water remembers. So, and then he's saying after all the throwing up, he would starve himself. So he managed to summon enough self-discipline through diet and exercise to lose the 100 pounds, yada, 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 yada. And now he released some 97 exercise tapes. And only one title matters. Released in 1988, Sweatin' to the Oldies is all you need to see to understand Richard Simmons' success. The sea of Jane Fonda-inspired fitness tapes featured instructors in astounding shape motivating classes of already attractive specimens. Simmons, in his trademark too short shorts and spangly top, this is exactly from the article I pulled this from, filled a high school gym with morbidly obese female Midwesterners, many of them uncomfortable and fearful about the very notion of movement. And then he made himself ridiculous. Once he started screaming and cavorting, he put his audience at ease, and once he had their trust, he got them to move to a playlist of fairly feeble 50s and 60s pop hits. And
I was
then
hoping it would just be F's the whole time.
This sounds like a bit in like almost like an A24 horror movie or thriller where like he's coming unhinged and undone
and works them to death.
Or like works them to death, but like I can just see him screaming.
He's very energetic. If you've never seen any of these videos, please take some time out of your day because they are very worth watching.
With my YouTube Premium, I can enjoy them ad-free.
You'd swear YouTube was sponsoring us this time.
If only.
Now, after he would get them moving, he would get them to cry. Unlike Jane Fonda, unlike Arnold Schwarzenegger, another beneficiary of the 80s, 50s explosion, Simmons knew his audience. He'd waddled in their shoes. The derision in this article is just glorious. They're disgusting.
Yeah.
He told his students his miserable origin story, freeing them to sob their way through their own dreams of being liberated from their blubbery prisons. Simmons didn't just make millions from infomercials selling his tapes and deal a meal diet plan. He made a more intimate connection. His tears and encouragement weren't just for the cameras. Calls, letters, and unexpected visits to the homes of the fans who used his products were commonplace. Simmons toured Midwestern malls incessantly, usually initiating contact with his fans. It was as if he needed them more than they needed him. As Simmons' empire expanded, his mainstream visibility grew. He played himself in a 4-year arc on the then wildly popular daytime soap General Hospital. Simmons wept and shrieked his way through his own daytime show. He never said no to a guest slot on a sitcom or game show. But two media titans turned him into a willing figure of mockery. From the late 1980s, Simmons began turning up on the David Letterman show, eventually racking up 46 appearances. He was an equally regular host on Howard Stern's radio show. Now, this is all important in the context of the fact that he was very openly out in the public eye for a significant amount of time.
He's working hard like a motherfucker. Like
correct.
He's always doing something. Every single day, it sounds like, if he's going to be making that many appearances.
And he's one of those persons, like individuals who really personalized what he was doing and felt like he needed to have an actual vital connection to his audience because he cared about their, well-being. That's the whole reason he was doing it in the first place. So he wasn't just, hey, I can sell this money or sell the material and get some money off you.
So that I don't miss the fact that we're trying to call bullshit or anything. The amount of appearances that he made, was it 46?
Yes.
That's not...
That is bullshit.
Ooh!
Well done.
I don't think I have ever caught one.
Well, congratulations. You got it on the fly, too. It was 33 actual appearances.
Okay, cool.
So, I
That's
didn't
the kind
round
of
up
bullshit
too
that I try to
dramatically,
get on you guys when I actually try it.
Yeah, you're like, I see through it. This is what I do. Why would he be on a radio show if he's usually about video, like being
just
personal?
So that they can
any
hear him
advertising
melt
is
fat.
good advertising. He's just to spread awareness, have conversation. They have plus.
And where are we on Howard Stern?
I like Howard Stern. I mean, he's obviously doing things to be incendiary, and that's why people pay attention to him. And
Is that Private Parts? Is that his movie?
Yes.
Is that supposed to be biographical?
Yes.
Okay.
But I have a feeling a lot of it is very embellished.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do something on Howard Stern because I'm not really familiar with him myself, and maybe I could actually try for once, guys.
Don't hurt yourself.
The studio that I worked at, the owner, he was obsessed with Howard Stern, so I'd hear some Howard Stern like when we'd go to like pick up some new parts or like equipment and stuff like that.
Were they private parts?
I don't want to talk about that.
Good.
The therapist says he doesn't have to.
It was a toxic environment. So, his shuttering of his Beverly Hills exercise studio shouldn't have commanded much attention, but the longer Simmons was out of sight, the more that theories about his absence grew. So TMZ posited he was being held hostage by his longtime housekeeper, Teresa.
And wait, so he disappeared in 2016?
So 2014.
Slimmons is done in 2016, but when did he disappear?
2014.
Okay.
So he was gone before the thing really shuttered up. He missed one of the appointments, and then no one saw him, and then eventually it shuttered because he wasn't there. You have a feeling he was kind of the catalyst for everyone's involvement.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
The National Enquirer went to the rumor that he was transitioning into a woman and liked to be addressed as Fiona. Because apparently he watched Shrek. Simmons foreshadowed his departure from the spotlight in a 2015 appearance on twin comedians Jason and Randy Sklar's Scalarbro County podcast, admitting, "I never socialize. I rarely leave the house anymore." Ironically, Simmons' absence attracted more interest than the decades when he was ubiquitous. Donald Trump even added the resuscitation of Richard Simmons to his towering dung heap of campaign promises. Wow, there's a lot of editorializing in this.
Yeah.
It is not mine.
And that
so I'm
doesn't
just going
sound
to clarify
real to me,
this.
but that is real, isn't it? That Donald Trump promised that.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
He said we have to get him out, is what Trump declared.
Get him out?
Get
Like
him
he's in
out.
Iraq?
I guess. he's hiding in a crump hole somewhere. But ultimately, rumor mongering increased to the point that Simmons agreed to be interviewed on the Today Show, where he was refuting the theory that he was being held against his will. He says, "I just don't really want to do anything," he said. "I don't want to be traveling anymore. It certainly has taken its toll on me." The downbeat interview with Simmons, a man who never met a camera he didn't like, was conducted by phone. So if Simmons wants to spend his twilight years enjoying his millions in privacy, the success of Dan Taberski's Missing Richard Simmons podcast is going to make that goal difficult. Taberski, a former fitness client turned Simmons' acquaintance, walks a tricky ethical tightrope with his podcast. He claims concern for the well-being of a man he calls a friend, but he knowingly stokes listener hunger for revelations of a deep, dark secret. So this entire podcast has been sort of founded under the idea that he wants to talk about where Richard went. And he's worried about Richard.
And he's not dead, technically?
No. He's alive out in the world. So he's just sequestered away from prying eyes.
Biding his time,
Yeah.
waiting to strike.
So, filmmaker... like he's like a missile.
Actual cannibal.
Simmons Scud missile. He's going to bring hot pants to the world. So, Taberski was one of the people in Simmons' inner circle who lost touch when the fitness aficionado went dark. In the podcast, he threads archival sound bites of Simmons and interview clips of his friends with his own narration to create a chronological timeline of the days following Simmons' first noticeable absence. It's compellingly produced storytelling to explore, postulate, and some say even sensationalize what really happened. Like saying he gallivants across hot coals in his backyard hoping that the spirits will lift him into the heavens.
Is that a real thing?
I'm joking.
I wouldn't put it past the article, honestly.
So, here is everything that you need to know about the new podcast, Missing Richard Simmons. But before we get to that, I feel this is an appropriate place for us to dovetail here and talk about this week's sponsor.
Yes, please.
Because, Richard needs to go somewhere. He needs to get out. We all need to get out. We need to explore the world. And you know the best way to do that? Ünter. It's not Uber. It's Ünter.
Spell it.
Unter. It's a German company. It's an Ünter.
Okay.
So, here we are. This week, the Disinformed podcast is thrilled to be sponsored by Ünter Transportational Opportunities. Opportunity only knocks when it has hands. And our hands are here to help you. If you don't ride with us, you may no longer have hands. Whatever your ambition, whatever your drive, and wherever you live, opportunity abounds. And we're here to help it find you. We have things with wheels and an abundance of affiliated individuals who manipulate them. We take you where you need to go and then take your money. No funny stuff, or we break you. Ünter. Ride with us, because otherwise we'll break your legs, so you can't walk. So that's Ünter. They're sponsoring us this week, and it's going to be, if you need to get out, if you had a little too much to drink, and you're afraid you don't want to drive home, you need to get somewhere, call Ünter, or else.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes you can't trust your hands or your feet.
No.
You have to trust someone else with them.
Mm-hmm. You also can't, trust reality.
Right. How much Night Vale have you been listening to?
Way too much. What could have happened to Richard Simmons?
Incomplete.
As sparked by Ünter. Rumors sparked, then flared, after a New York Daily News story claimed that Simmons' housekeeper, cum best friend for 30 years, Teresa Reveles, was purportedly isolating him and controlling him. Friends claimed he was summoning... Yes.
The devil.
The devil. Friends claimed he was summoning some, calling others to explain that he could no longer maintain contact. Mario Oliveira, who last saw Simmons in 2014, told the News that she worried he looked gaunt, too thin for his already petite 5'7" frame. So there we are. There's a little clarification.
Petite?
So going from 5'5" to 5'7"?
Well, I just didn't remember how tall he was,
bastard.
so now I know. As I, like you, have prepared so much that I'm just reading my notes here.
Try hard.
Try harder than you. So she blamed his tormented appearance on witchcraft leveraged by Reveles.
Well, we've all met my ex-girlfriend.
The human soul being destroyed by black magic. It is a claim adamantly refuted by both Simmons and Reveles, who declined to be interviewed for the story in the New York Daily News. So, is Richard Simmons really missing? It's unclear exactly when Simmons dropped off. Taberski remembers February 15th, 2014 as the first day their spirited leader failed to show, which was out of character. Other accounts substantiate that, beginning with Simmons' mysterious silencing as well. At the time, Simmons posted a message to assure those concerned that he was recovering from a knee injury.
Okay.
Kneecaps.
Ünter. So then, he fell into another round of silence as he uncharacteristically missed friends' funerals and neglected to respond to fan
Greg
letters.
was an asshole.
Well,
no one
wanted
his funeral.
to hang out. Yes, agreed. In 2016, he emerged in a phone interview on the Today Show again to soothe personal friends and public concern, assuring those listening he was essentially just taking advantage of some self-care time. So, here is the controversy. Taberski urges listeners to call in with any theory you think we missed.
Oh, no.
So basically, if he's saying, I feel that Richard was abducted by grass people, taken to the Serengeti, and fed to a lion, he wants other people to add their own spin on the mix. Like, well, I heard that he was eaten by a Tyrannosaurus Rex when he was touring Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So essentially just, he's saying, give us more content by calling in.
Exactly.
Ooh.
So there are various potential personal crises, like the suggestion his physical decline has made Mr. Simmons depressed, or that he's grieving the death of his dogs. And they have raised clues to turn over by Mr. Taberski and pals, and often dismissed as unserious. But, of course, as you said, it's content, so why the hell not? Though Mr. Simmons has acknowledged suffering from depression before, that wouldn't justify a complete and total retreat, Mr. Taberski decides, which conveniently excuses him to keep digging. Most disquieting is a clue, air quotes, Michael, I'm sure you'll be very happy.
I heard it.
Teased in the first episode when a former Slimmons client says that for the last 2 or 3 months, he was showing up in drag.
Oh.
That's Fiona?
Is Fiona. Apple. In a forthcoming episode, Mr. Taberski digs into a tabloid report that Mr. Simmons is transitioning to female. He takes a moment to note that Mr. Simmons' gender identity is nobody's business but his own, and then forges right ahead. Further episodes of the podcast go on to speculate that Mr. Simmons may have been abducted by aliens, is possessed by a demonic entity, and even goes so far to claim that he's converted his home into a sort of weight loss Wonkaland, chock full of exercise equipment and free weights and protein shakes aplenty.
That sounds like a great idea.
I feel like that's the one that carries the most weight.
Obviously.
Sign me.
But
oh, damn it.
Well done. So while Mr. Taberski will ultimately decides that these reports are false, Simmons himself rebutted the stories on Facebook, but regardless of their veracity, it feels exploitative to spread rumors while simultaneously championing the podcast's great respect for Mr. Simmons' privacy. A serious journalistic transgression, outing a person, is played here as just another sensational twist to be picked apart for podcast fodder. So, I mean, again, there's a lot of speculation here. And a lot of editorializing from those who wrote the articles, but it was kind of sensationalist and better than just Wikipedia. He's disappeared and no one knows why.
He disappeared. Yeah. Have you listened to the podcast?
I have not. I simply heard others who were talking about it, and I'm like, oh, it's weird that you
intriguing.
Wanted it, but it
fits our lane. It's esoteric as fuck. Like, it's really off the beaten path.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things. In 2017, detectives actually went to his home and conducted a welfare check and told everybody, "Hey, by the way,
we've seen him.
He's fine. He's sticking to his own business. He just doesn't want to be in the public eye anymore."
I was gonna say, is that like one of the theories? Like, no, he's straight up like he's done.
He's done. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's nothing to read into.
He keeps sparking other things because he in 2017, April 19th, 2017, he made his first public comment on Facebook, essentially with a photo of himself and saying, "I'm not missing, just a little under the weather." It's really vague. You could write something a little more substantive, but I feel like, if where there's smoke, there's fire, maybe. But the picture was included. Oh, the picture that was included in the post was several years old, so it wasn't correct. So again, like, there's a lot of weird things he could do to sort of dispel this and make it easier to ferret out.
Take a picture of himself with like the newspaper.
But again, and maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe the point is he doesn't want people to speculate on what he looks like now, and he just doesn't care to be in the limelight. Like, there's a lot of gray to this argument here. So it's interesting. Just, something to run through. In May 2017, he sued the National Enquirer, Radar Online, and American Media Incorporated for libel.
Oh.
Apropos of some of our previous conversation. And false claims that he was undergoing gender reassignment. In September 2017, he lost the lawsuit and was ordered to pay defendants' attorney fees.
Oh.
Fun.
Okay. Wow.
The judge ruled that because courts have long held that misidentification of certain immutable characteristics do not naturally tend to injure one's reputation, even if there's a sizable portion of the population who holds prejudices against those characteristics, misidentification of a person as transgender is not actionable defamation absent special damages.
Really?
So again,
explain to me like I'm as dumb as I am.
So essentially, he's saying
you can't get in trouble for calling someone a gender that
if you don't identify someone's gender appropriately, that's not libelous or slanderous, essentially.
Got it.
Which, the idea is you're a source of derision afterwards or things like that because the general public is not necessarily the most accepting of it or wasn't at the time. Hopefully we're making strides towards that, but who knows? But I'm gauging just from the yawns around the room here that we're all starting to dive. So this is my last paragraph, thankfully. So we're safe.
Okay. It's not a lack of interest.
I know. It's 7 a.m. and we're all trying to keep ourselves awake.
Again, we record in batches of 3s.
Yes.
Shane and I played a show that Michael was
slobbering all over us for.
He was there. I was trying to be very find nice terminology, but I usually just beat you.
I exist.
Also, I'm holding myself accountable to a lot of this as well because this is very text heavy, and I said I was making up for last time being so short.
No, we're only at 2 hours, so
yeah. I wanted it to be a 6-hour saga. I didn't want to break it up into multiple parts here because he's not Flat Earth. He's Richard Simmons.
Well, I'm doing it for the money. I could have had just, a 3-hour stint, but I wanted to break it up.
Flat Earth truthers have kidnapped Richard Simmons?
What if Richard Simmons fell off the end of the flat Earth?
Motherfucker.
I'm going to call Taberski right now. We'll get it on the podcast.
He's on the upside down of the Earth. He's on the other side.
You should tweet your theory to him.
Okay. I think Richard has been
just do it on a whim on your personal Twitter.
Okay, I'll do that.
And just add him and be like, have you considered he may have fallen off the flat Earth?
And I will also add hashtag 2A and any number of other things just to get everyone involved. We want
anything.
Yes.
And then just report back. It's not even it's not even a gimmick to try and get traffic. Just try it.
Yeah.
I just want to say
this sounds reasonable. I agree. So, he also, in 2018, sued a private investigator, claiming that he had placed a tracking device over a year earlier on the only vehicle Simmons used for transportation. It's my only means of conveyance.
A PT Cruiser?
You'd hope. Noting that such tracking is in violation of California law. So again, there's so much surrounding the fact that the guy essentially said, and from what I understand in some of the conversations, he's like, listen, I was out shilling for decades. And, being on Howard Stern, doing all these things, making, appearances, and that we've noted. it's difficult for you to just keep giving yourself to everybody's like, I need a little me time. I just want to, enjoy the rest of my life. I've been trying to help people for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, in the whole spectrum of celebrities melting down and doing terrible shit when they melt down, just disappearing off the face of the earth is the least egregious thing you could do.
Yeah.
I mean, Britney shaved her head and...
Hey, you leave her alone.
It's funny, but we also talk, Jurassic Park being heavy in our minds this evening is the thing the American general public loves more than anything is gossip and digging into other people's business and information, whether they're entitled to it or not, they assume they are. So we simply deny them that.
Yeah.
And watch everybody go crazy. We're like, I want to know what's going on. Why can't I know? Like, well, it's a private life. Just because he was a, otherwise known celebrity, that doesn't entitle you to know every whim and, nuance of his existence. It's just...
And like you're saying, it becomes like nice fodder.
Yeah.
Which again, Michael had a podcast that he was piloting out before we started doing this. Mm. And I pitched that we make it more pop culture related because there's so much weird shit inside of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's larger than life. And this is definitely like a textbook definition of it being larger than life.
Yeah.
That being said... No, go.
Because I was going to say, I didn't really know anything about it until you started talking about it, but then the Facebook picture that's several years old, that already piqued my curiosity. I was like, oh, there actually is something going on here.
Right.
Well, not necessarily there's some conspiracy, but there is cause to be interested in that. Yeah. There's an interest that I didn't even know.
Because there's not a straight line. It's not a linear sequence where it's just it's always an asterisk to everything that's involved. Because but why is it an old picture? Why can't you show us that you're all right now?
Yeah.
We why have would you a right to know.
Why would you put the effort in saying, hey guys, I'm okay, here's a picture, but it's old.
Right.
Why would you put that effort in at all if you just didn't do anything, no one would have noticed. No one would be hey, you didn't post a picture.
And if you're trying to quell all of the sort of controversy surrounding your life, that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah, not at all.
But, it's just funny. I found it a really interesting study in sort of American pop culture.
Yeah.
The fact that we just can't let someone just go do their own thing.
Do their own shit, live their life.
Particularly when we've got an individual in higher offices of the government who tweets constantly and is involved in this idea of exposure where everyone knows his every waking
for better or worse.
Yeah, it's funny. It was an interesting take. But
now, did I catch the only lie?
No, you did not. There are many lies.
Well,
I wanted to keep you boys on your toes, and so I lulled you into a false sense of security. But if you want to take some final stabs, tell me.
Is that picture that we just talked about? Is that actually several years old?
That is accurate. Yeah.
Okay. I figured I would make a stab at that.
Similar. No, nothing.
No.
I know it's a lot, so
I'm throwing my hands up. I caught one. I'm a genius.
You did.
Honestly.
We established this.
Yeah.
The sister to that comment is he only released 67 exercise tapes, not 97.
Oh God!
Which
you really used my own.
I did.
Against me.
I tried to see how how it felt for you. Also, it was not only females depicted in his exercise tapes. It was...
Sorry, after your track history from the last episode, I didn't want to put any more...
Easy, oogly. It was predominantly, but not entirely female. The reason I did the lie was the way that this person wrote their little editorial piece.
Bullshitty.
And also just all of, again, the judgments and the derision of oh, you flubber-filled fuckers out there jiggling along to good old Richard.
Everybody laugh at the fat boy.
It's again,
What's
I
that
love
Patton Oswalt thing?
Everyone laugh at the sad boy. Yes, but I find it really odd. And again, I don't want to get didactic with this. So, but again, someone can, if we're talking about women not having any worth or things like this, and turn around and say well, they're fat, so fuck them. They don't have feelings. They did it to themselves. Oh yeah, someone dying from lung cancer because they smoke cigarettes. Oh, we don't. Fuck them, they did it to themselves. It's just have a little empathy, assholes.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
These are people who are trying to improve their health. They're not just sitting around crying about it and riding around in a rascal scooter
it's a process,
waiting for the world to come to them, right? Yeah, it's just... So the absolute sort of disdain that they throw with this, like, oh, he was just gaming the system, whereas all these other people were being pretty. He fucking manipulated these people into sharing their feelings and trying to better themselves. Like,
Feelings.
Manipulated them into trying to lose weight like the losers they are.
it's like, okay, the dude just wanted to help people. Sorry, I guess he's an asshole. Anywho, moving on. The last lie. The podcast does not speculate.
I thought you were going to say not exist, and I was going to throw this fucking mic at you.
Yeah, that would have been icing
that
on
would
the
have been
cake.
expert level bullshit.
Yeah, I would have been like, you know what? We can't. We're done. We finished the podcast. Done.
I was afraid
Over.
that you guys would get upset with this, how this was. They don't speculate that he's been abducted by aliens or possessed by demons or that he's converted. I thought the weight loss Wonka land would be too iceberg
oh
out
my
the
god,
water.
no, that
believe
was
it.
excited me.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I was like totally gunning
So yes,
for it.
they only basically talk about like his gender identity.
So you're
and
not
things
going to
like
add
that,
them
so-
on Twitter, are you?
No, it's a lie.
God damn
It's
it.
a thing. I'm sorry, but they do encourage people though to tell them other theories. Like,
Fuck it,
that's the
I
thing,
take it back.
so.
Do it
Okay,
still.
I will throw
Do it,
out
you
that he.
No, you
he
don't know.
fell
Fuck
off
that.
the-
Throw the Willy Wonka thing at him. Throw the Wonka Land.
He's got
Fitness
a weight loss
Emporium.
Wonka land.
He'll come out of retirement after like another couple of years, send out golden tickets to exercise.
He's got-
for gyms. To gyms.
Yeah.
It's like
He's got
In a
trees.
land of weight loss intervention.
There are trees made of shake weights. Just everything moves. But that
The protein
kids,
bars taste like protein bars.
the schnozberries taste like a fat woman's garments. So that is what I have on the controversy surrounding Richard Simmons and his quote-unquote disappearance.
Okay.
I gave a lot of context there, but I felt like I know who he is, but I wasn't sure the two of you would really have an idea of who he is or why it's important that he disappeared
No, that was
or
good.
what
It was
it
a
meant
nice,
to anybody.
nice deep
Yeah.
dive.
Like I knew who he was, but I didn't know that there was controversy.
Like they always ask,
Yeah.
Never mind.
It's 9:30. Do you know where Richard Simmons is?
Right.
Do you know where you're?
No, I was going to try and do like a who's a good boy, not how's the good boy. You know, like
Who's a
Richard
good
Simmons,
boy?
not how's Richard Simmons.
Oof. So, thank you all for being here. We appreciate our sponsor, Ünter. And we're happy, in case you need to catch a ride somewhere or you value your legs, you should probably give them a call.
Listen, I'm half the man I used to be after I used Ünter.
Indeed. Or you didn't use Ünter is important. Download that app or they will find you. And that's going to be it for all of us. We've already mentioned at this point, where you can find us on the social networks. So go check us out. Instagram at Disinformed Podcast, Facebook.com/Disinformed Podcast, and Twitter at Disinformed Pod. And thank you all for hanging out with us for this, the penultimate death stroke to the Disinformed Podcast. I'm lying. I'm kidding.
Why did you say stroke? And also, I shared something intimate with you guys, and you didn't appreciate it at all.
I appreciated it. You fucking
I mean,
pervert.
if we want to talk about it again, we can.
I mean, I don't want to beat myself to death. I just want to
You
come
beat
and get
yourself
out.
off.
Hey, listen, bring it up again and we'll all stroke it.
I won't do that. But it's out.
I would
I'm
do
out.
I
Under
would
the
do
table.
anything for love,
I wouldn't do that.
but I won't do that.
But you just said you did. You literally did it.
Don't read too
Earlier.
far into it.
Pussy!
Yep, you clipped.
I tried. Sorry. Pussy.
Also, Michael's roommate, I'm pretty sure if he was passed out drunk, has definitely been frightened awake by the screaming shouts of pussy.
I also am sure Sam the dog, not Sam the person, is going to maul my leg when I walk out of here.
Yeah. And hey, shameless plug here. If you do want to hear some music, October 4th, Shane and I's band has a new single coming out.
This will probably be released like long after that has taken place.
So-
we're in a time warp right now. So
October 4th, our best-selling single was released.
and it is just climbing up the charts like a monkey up a tree.
By that, I don't know what he means. It's had 13 streams in 13 months. But anyway, it's called Saturnine. Damn the Weather Band.
This is not sticking in there. I think
No,
he's gonna
it's
kill
fine.
it.
If he keeps it, he keeps it. If not, fuck you, Shane.
I'm sorry, I hate to break reality to you.
Oh, man.
Well, you just throw it in there for...
This is going to be fun to edit.
What could I use you for?
So...
Synchronized rhythm. Okay,
Well-
here it comes. Do it yourself. Do it for less. And you can come all over her chest.
Well, I'm pretty sure Michael's roommate has been frightened awake.
Oh, damn.
Shane has regaled us with his new single.
Dirty Clippy.
I don't think there's much more ground to cover.
Let's stop beating this horse.
I think that on the next round we'll have Michael doing more flat Earth stuff.
Yep.
Shane's gonna talk about more weird shit. What do you got next, Shane?
It's the Stargate project, or distance location, or distance seeing.
I don't understand.
Good luck. You're gonna enjoy it
I
when
don't
it rolls around.
understand it.
Yeah, I guess I've read Dune once too.
Haven't we all?
I actually haven't. I'm going to.
Not distance peeing, John. It's
Oh,
different.
got it. And then I got Howard Stern. I can do Deer Hunter. The end of that, since we just recorded our new intros.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to hearing it, 2 minutes before we come in to record. I don't think.
Right. No, I think maybe I'll start trying. I always get envious about the lengthy ones.
Well, you can get
I
lengthy.
love lengthy ones.
Give us the length.
Give
and the girth.
Yes.
Give us the girth of the flat earth.
I'll go ahead and say I think we got time.
Yes.
We're good here. We're out of
done.
time.
We're tapping out. The audience tapped out 20 minutes ago. If any of you are still listening, we're sorry.
Yeah.
And
like Richard Simmons, I'm out of here.
I've already been gone.
I'll
This
be
is
gone in
actually
the dark.
a phone call.
he's not out. Stop trying to say that he wants to transgender himself.
What is it about exiting the show that makes you just
Incredibly insensitive.
problematic? Yeah.
Yes. It's. I think I'm delirious, and I just can't say anything right.
Well, Shane, let me serve this up for you. For the Disinformed podcast, he is...
At a loss for words. Wait.
You were close.
Nope.
Got it.
For the Disinformed podcast, I'm Kenton Eldorado.
I am Timothy Lone Cactus.
And I'm Robert Greer.
Go fuck yourselves.
And each other.
And I'll clean it up.
Don't worry. We appreciate someone. Wait. Hold on. Thank you all for coming. Don't worry. Richard Simmons will clean it up.
Yeah.